Hey yo guys, Core here. Welcome to another video. Today we're gonna do it a bit differently. Gonna go off script because I really wanna talk about something that is for me very concerning. Because I've been here for I've been playing this game for, let's say, since Destiny 1, like when it released. And I really enjoyed it, but I can see over the years what has changed, what has shifted, what went good, what went wrong. And for me personally, I always loved PvE, but in Destiny 1 it was like, okay, PvE is dry, let's go to PvP because that's where the content sits and that's where you can just play infinite amount of hours and still have something to do, you know? That was with Destiny 1. In Destiny 2 it feels more like everybody wants to be Destiny 2 to be this PvE game that is purely based on PvE itself and nothing else. And I have to say it's basically impossible because otherwise it would not stay relevant for a long time. If you look at Twitch, we have raid streams, world first streams that are highly watched when they release. But during the rest of the season, the rest of the year, if there's nothing to do in PvE, nothing new, the most watched are either very well-known members of the community that do PvE, or they're just mostly PvP streamers. Because there's Trials of Osiris, there's stuff to do, you sometimes have tourneys which are more or less interesting. And yeah, it feels like we're slowly going away more and more from that PvP focus. And this is, for me, like the last 4 years have been rough. I'm also getting older, and I know I'm not, yeah, you could say I'm washed by now. But what is very concerning for me personally is that I cannot enjoy the game that I once loved, and I feel like there are other games out there that don't have that problem. I've been playing for, let's say, the same amount of years Guild Wars 2, which is just an example. It's a completely different game. It's also an MMO, but it's kind of more like a World of Warcraft thing. But the difference is, with that game, I can just stop playing, come back 3 years later, and still play the exact same like I did 3 years ago. I don't have to grind new gear. I don't have to grind new weapons. I can just use whatever I did or whatever I used 3 years ago. And that concept for me, as someone who doesn't have that much time to game anymore, like if you have 10 hours per day to game, that's a different story. But let's say it's just a hobby, it's not a job or anything else. Let's say you only have maybe 1-2 hours per day. I think Destiny 2 is in a state where it's just not possible to continuously playing without being burned out. And for PvE, the game is kind of good if you do high-end content, but for new players, just an example to go back to what I already explained, Guild Wars 2 is kind of the game that you can play as a new player, put infinite amount of hours into it, and you haven't even done endgame content. That's just what makes the game so great. You can just enjoy the world, you can enjoy the story. The story is long, the world is big, you have so much to do, so much to discover, and the gameplay is fun. And that's what I want to see from an MMO, no matter if it's a shooter or if it's a role-playing MMO. It just feels like this kind of design philosophy was never the case, because I feel like they just make so much less content in like shooter games because it's way harder to produce. Yes, I understand that, but at the same time I wish I could just have the same amount of content and the same amount of design philosophy that Guild Wars 2 has, that would be implemented in Destiny 2. I can understand that they want to make sure that you grind each season for new gear, but in reality, let's be honest, let's say we take that away, the gear grind. Let's say we take this grinding to the next power level, to the maximum power level. Let's say we take that away. What else will a DLC from Destiny 2 have to offer for you so that you enjoy it? Like, seriously. There's the story, yes. The story is finished in about, let's say, 6 hours if it's a good DLC. If it's a lesser good, less big DLC, it's maybe 4 or 5 hours. It depends. And the story is you play it once and then it's over. So a good story is fine, but what do you do afterwards? You grind for guns. Okay, some guns you grind for, let's say, just a few hours. They're craftable, you get them, and then you're finished. If they're not craftable, you have an infinite amount of grind, but a hustle grind. A grind that is just not fun to do, because you're not sure if you ever get the role that you want. But the grind feels fake. It feels like they want to make sure that you grind for that gun and for the gear as long as possible, so that you stay with the game, so that you buy stuff from the store. And this is a design philosophy that I really don't like. I want to be here, just play whatever I want and have fun, you know? And it kind of is not like that. I tend to do this to get that, then I need this for that. It just, I don't know. I feel like we have to go to a different kind of model with how Destiny should be. But I'm pretty sure if they change the model and they change how you grind in these games, they lose players. And that's because the whole base game, without the grinding for new gear, is kind of boring. And that's something that is just in the design of the game. They have to change that to be able to maintain a good game. And they're still trying to make sure that Destiny stays relevant. They're putting out so many other, let's say, games right now, and they don't even know if the one main game can even survive the next years, because they make it just the bare minimum, and they never look at what do actually the community wants. But yeah, this is at least my thoughts on the game. Let me know in the comment section if you agree or if you disagree. For me personally, I don't know if I can maintain this game for the future. I'm having a really good blast in Guild Wars 2, which is an older game and has better design philosophies than newer games. Maybe that's the reason why it is so good still, because it comes from a time where games need to succeed to stay relevant, and maybe that's why this game just feels so much more fluid and so much more enjoyable. It feels like you're going into a world that just lives, if you know what I mean. It just kind of feels like a living world, not like just a game. And that's something I really want from a gaming experience. I want to go into that world and I want to see so many details, explore so many cool things. Like, you can go into a building in Guild Wars 2 and there's gonna be, I don't know, a bed, and then there's going to be a cat inside the bed that is just crawling around. Just as an example of how detailed just one house can be there, and it's just one house, and you have like, I don't know, you have like over 3,000 houses there, and they all have this kind of small detail. And this is just what shows me that the devs actually care and love their game, and they want to put as much detail into their game because they love their game by themselves. And I feel like Destiny was like that in the earlier days, and it's slowly dripping away because of the decision that has been made from upper tier management, at least, because there is a lot in this game that you see as good, that has detail. Like, just look at the store. Look at how many different cosmetic items we have right now compared to Destiny 1. The thing is, the devs, they make these, but the decision of where these armor sets will be placed is not made by the devs. That's just by upper management and people who want to make sure that the game brings them, that the game brings them money in. Those are just my thoughts on the game currently, and I think it will always stay relevant for me, but I think I'm gonna just watch it from a further distance than the last few years to just see, okay, if there's anything I like, I'm coming back. But as a main game where I want to be happy and I want to stick in there and just enjoy whatever it has to offer, I feel like this is not the right game for me. Maybe that might be me. By getting older, my mindset shifted a bit. Because when I was younger, I always wanted to be the best at video games. And nowadays, it's like, dude, I want to be in a world where I like the gameplay, I like the environment, I like everything that I'm doing, and I feel happy about doing these activities. And to be honest, I have never enjoyed farming for a certain gun in a certain activity because the grind feels just not right to me. It feels fake. It feels not enjoyable. It's not like something you really want to do. And that's just my opinion, at least. But yeah, we talked way too long, so yeah. Without further ado, as always, have a good day, have a good night, depends where you are, and see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, bye bye.